Good evening. I'm a comedian. No. I'm a comedian, unfortunately, because my dream was to be a doctor. But my parents want me to be a comedian because they told me that I will not work if I will be a doctor. Actually, when I was born in Nazareth, we live in a really small neighborhood. My father worked as machine engineering and my mother as a teacher. Actually, in the high school, I was all the time the funny guy in the school and in the class, and one of my inspiration was my older brother. He was doing hip hop music and he was an MC, and I really liked the way he was really creative. He was all the time sitting and writing rhymes, and I saw that he's really having fun of what he does. But to be honest, my parents wasn't so happy that my older brother he's not studied the usual thing, or a doctor or a lawyer. So in some point I feel that I need to be that guy, and I need to be the accountant, and I all the time between me and myself, I really wanted, when I was in the high school, really wanted to be a comedian. And because honestly I don't know, because a lot of people ask me why you do this. I really don't know, but I really like to make people laugh. So when I finished high school, I was so confused what I'm gonna do in my future. Inside myself, I really wanted to be a comedian and actor, but I didn't tell my parents that, because I was afraid that if I will tell them that I want to be a comedian, I'm sure that they will also support me. But and with the Arab society, it's kind of the parents really want the safe beach, and they want me to. So I entered and I started studying accounting and economics, and after 3 years and a half, and especially in the last semester when I was studying economics and accounting, I couldn't stand it more, and in the last summer of the studying, I went to work as a waiter, brought the money for the first semester in the theater school, and I went there and I paid there without telling my parents that I want to be studying acting. And at some point there's joined me very good close artist and friend of mine. His name is Ilyas Matar, and he's a comedian. And once we met in a restaurant, and he said, "Hey man, what do you think about doing something together?" And it was really in the same period that I'm finishing economics and starting theater, and we start working on sketches together. And we was rehearsing without my parents knowing. We would just go in a small room and start doing all the sketches. And when we finished the work in the show, I just invited my parents, and my parents didn't knew that it's my show.
Okay.
Because I really just and I told them on the stage, and I have this video, I can send it to you. It's when we made this show, it was really funny, because it was really emotional for me, because this was my first time on stage, my first time facing 300 people. And it was really emotional for me. And when I was looking during the show, looking at and I said that they're laughing, and it's just make me. And in the end of the show, also my grandmother was there, and I told her, my grandmother all the time say, when you finish accounting, I want to help you to buy your office, and you will be accountant. And I told them on the stage that I really love you, and I really want to make you proud, because it's really important for me to make my parents proud of me. I live in Nazareth, Jesus city. Jesus is my grandfather. But one of the things that, have you ever been in Nazareth? Yeah? Okay, cool, but my problem is that all the tourists that come to Nazareth are very old people that comes to the church, but we are young people and we want to see girls there. So I think that they should market Nazareth in a different way to bring the youth. I don't know how. Nazareth, Jesus city, bring your daughters. It was really important for me to be sure. I had a lot of shows as a stand-up comedian in the beginning. I was doing 3-4 minutes and it was disaster. It was really bad. Maybe the first 150 shows I was doing just 4 minutes and 5 minutes, and I didn't have the confidence to be on the stage. Not like when me and my friends do it, because it's sketches, but stand-up comedy, it's much harder to do it. I came from a Christian home, but we're both of my parents, they're not great believers. We have never talked about if this Muslim or this. We really believe that all the people are equal. That's what my parents all the time tell me, that there is no difference, because there was a lot of attempts to divide between Muslims and Christians, and they divide and rule. That's what my parents used to tell me. That's what the government want to divide us between this Christians and this Latin and this Orthodox and this. So, but. It's really hard for me as a comedian still until now to talk about taboos. Because I think as a comedian I don't believe that it's not just must be about the political side. There is a lot of social problems in our society that it's really should be deal with stand-up, with hip-hop, with reggae, with all kinds of art, and until now, when I do a show and maybe there's 30 kilos between each theater and theater, but I must change the subject, because I know that I cannot talk about this issue in this place. But even if I will try a little bit to talk about it in some village that they are really conservative, the people still cannot take it because there is taboo, and I respect the traditionals and our traditionals, but I have really maybe sometimes different perspective on social issues and political in a different way. So it's really hard for me, a comedian. I cannot do the same show everywhere. I cannot at all, because and even I tried it several times, and until now I'm trying to do talking about taboo in a place that they're really conservative, even if they're Christians conservative or Muslim conservative. I'm trying to talk about it and put it on the table, and a lot of people refuse to hear it, and I think a lot of places they just want the mainstream stand-up comedy, the mainstream, to talk about just the daily things, that it's funny. And I'm talking about the daily thing that happened to us, but in every show, when I do a whole show in Arabic, it's 1 hour 30 minutes, 1 hour 30. I'm trying to have a campaign. I want to talk maybe 30% about the political issues, 50% about the social, that it's really, I think for me, as a Palestinian, it's much important than the political side. So as I told you, I'm a Palestinian, but I love Jews. I love all kinds of Jews, lemon Jews, orange Jews, grapefruit Jews. I have no problem with Jews, and really we face a lot of racism and discrimination, not just only at the checkpoints. Have you heard about the checkpoints in Palestine? Not just only at the checkpoints, also in the airport. When you go to the airport, how long you go before your flight? 2 hours maybe, or 3 hours? Last year I had a tour in the States, and usually the Israelis, when they fly, they go to the airport 3 hours before their flight. But when I booked my flight, I booked 15 days in New York, and 3 nights, 4 days at the airport. All included, special security massage. It was amazing, with investigations and also spa. Actually, it was almost a spa. It was hot room. I was sweating and naked. It was really kind of, but I really was so happy. The airport is a beautiful hotel. This is my best hotel. When I went to the reception of the hotel, they first of all did for me check out. And after that, they take off my clothes and did check in my ass. It was really nice. But really, I was so happy to get in the plane. And after 3-4 hours, I went to go to the bathroom. And I saw a sign on the door of the bathroom. occupied. And I said, not just only Palestine occupied, also the bathroom in the airplane is occupied. And I start to shout, get out, Moshe, from the bathroom. 65 years you pee in our bathroom. From the river to the sea, our bathroom will be free. 3, 2, 1, 0, this is our bathroom. You cannot separate social from politics and all art, and especially in a place like Palestine. And for me that I'm living in Palestine for 8 in Israel, I was shocked that a lot of Israel all the time trying to divide us, and that when I was young, very young kids in the high school, they were identified us as an Arab Israelis, and you identified. They want us to delete and forget our history and doing brainwash in all the education system. But in every school, in my school, there were people that there were teachers also that no, we are Palestinians and we should. But I think that the power of the system is much stronger than the power of me as a comedian. When I go wherever I go, even when I go to the West Bank, there's some people that until today there's some people defined us as Arab Israelis because we were born there, and all the time I'm trying to say to them whenever I go to Ramallah, to the Khalil, to Nablus, to Jenin, in every show that I'm doing in the West Bank, I'm trying to tell them that the occupation in Israel, for us, the Palestinians that live inside Israel, it's occupying our mind, not occupying with the tanks. I woke up in the morning and I drink my coffee and croissant, but it's really important for me to say that I cannot compare my suffering to the suffering of the Palestinian in Gaza, of my brother in Gaza. In Gaza, his alarm clock is the tank. But also in Israel, they're trying to brainwash our. They're trying to do it, the occupation in a different way. Even demolishing houses, the political prisoners that we have that from inside Israel. In October, in the Intifada, in Habit October, there were 13 Palestinians that have the Israeli ID like me, and they pay taxes. We pay taxes, and they were killed by the Israeli army in Palestine, in Israel, and nobody talked on them, and the media just. So what I'm trying to say that it's really important for all the world to know that how Israel look at us, the Palestinians. That we have 1.5 million Palestinians and they find us as a demographic bomb, and we are a cancer for because we are got much and much bigger. So we are cancer for the Israeli government, and it's and I said it for today's. I think that when I go to the stand in front of the separated wall, I look at it and I think how much I'm small. Not small I'm small about the power that support this war, this wall, and it's really make me crazy. And sometimes I'm saying, no, there is no hope. I believe that this is the key, and this is my weapon to do it, to do my part. And as I told you, I cannot say that all the time I'm optimistic about. Maybe all the artists say that the art will change the reality. I don't believe it will change reality like this, but Tupac is a really popular rap singer. Yeah. They asked him once, are you gonna change the world? He said, no, I will not change the world, but I will inspire in the mind that gonna make it. And I'm not Tupac, but I think that all the art, it's a puzzle that me as a stand-up comedian put this part of the puzzle, and this painter put this puzzle, and this rapper, and this, all the art, and maybe someone he's gonna be somebody in a position of political, he will come to my show or to my friend's show and say, yeah, maybe I will think differently. But before we start thinking about how to change our politics, we have really hard problems inside our society. I cannot say that we are ready for liberation. We the Palestinians have a lot of problems, and we should fix it. That have nothing to do with the occupation, and then we can sit on the table. I think maybe it sounds so weird, but I think when all the Palestinians will agree for the gay rights, all the Palestinians agree for the gay rights, and everyone have the opportunity to say how he want to live his life, then maybe after that we can sit on the table and talk with the Israelis. Actually, they're all my brothers there, and I have did a lot of shows before I met with the Freedom Theater in Ramallah and in Nablus as a stand-up comedian. But after the murder of Giuliano Markhamis, there's Udi Aloni, he's director that he works. So he asked me, he saw me in a show, and he said, "Listen, what do you think about coming to the Freedom Theater and to do a workshop with the students of Giuliano?" I said, "My pleasure to do it." So I went there and I met with my great friends there, and we started doing a workshop of stand-up, and I made a lot of shows in the last 2 years, but maybe one of the best 5 shows I've ever done in my life, it was in Jenin refugee camp, because I don't know, it's make me feel it was small show, it was 150 people, but it was so powerful for me. It was so powerful for me when somebody's age, I don't know, 60, 65, he came after the show and he told me that this is the first time that he's laughing from 3 years or 4 years, and it's make me feel so good, and because also the Palestinian that lives in the West Bank, there's a lot of people look at us as a traitor because we live inside Israel, and it's really all the time I'm trying in my acting. No, I'm trying to explain to them what we face in the daily life and what happens in like the demolishing house in Dhaka and in Jerusalem and in Nazareth, and because they have no idea. Now I'm gonna start also when I come back, I will start doing a workshop with the young kids in the Freedom Theater, because when I sit with them, these young people, and once I entered to the Jenin refugee camp inside, and I was shocked. I knew but when I became so close friend with them, I was shocked of the conditions that they are living there without water and electricity, and how the occupation, it's in their breath. It's in their breath, not just in the corrupt system education that they have in the schools, and a lot of people just escape school from when they're in 8th grade or 7th grade. I'm trying to tell them when I say with them, no, you should, if you follow your dream, and they're really just kind of, a lot of people gave up, and I can read, and also sometimes I gave up. I say, what the fuck I'm doing? For what I'm doing all this? For what I'm coming to Finland? For what but I think that there is small candle in and I'm trying to follow it, and hopefully before I will die, I will see that there is something changed in our reality, because it's just getting worse and worse, and it's not just the occupation, it's our responsibility as Palestinians, all Palestinians, not just in 48. So, but it's really amazing to work in the Freedom Theater. I think what Giuliano made, and his mother Arna, my dream was to meet with Arna and also with Giuliano. I've met him just once after I saw the movie, and it was 8 years ago. I was working as a waiter in a restaurant in Haifa, and I saw him, and he was in the movie. He has long hair, but he was bald, and I went to the manager and said, "This is Giuliano Markhamis." I see, and this was my second time second shift of me in the. I said, "Please, can I go just to say hi to him?" I almost cried because I was seeing the movie just 2 days before, and I was thinking all the time, who's Julian? And when I went there and checked his hand, say, hey, my name is Adi Khalefa, you don't know me, and I just want to say hello, that I really love what you're doing. And I gave him a hug, and he just, okay, he don't know me, and a lot of people know him. So, and when I had the I'm really sorry that I couldn't work with him directly when I'm a comedian, because before he was killed in 2 months or 3 months, we start talking that I'm gonna be in the Freedom Theater, and they want to do a meeting, and his student, because they're really close friends, I thought they were really close friends, and when they tell me about his life, and because they lived with him each day, he has so much courage, and he have a vision, and he make me look at the world in a different way, and he make me believe that what I'm doing is right.